What's going on, YouTube? Give me a couple minutes of your time and you'll never pay for jerky again. All it's going to take is 6 spices. You need about 5 pounds of meat, wild game or beef, whatever tickles your fancy. I'm going to grind this up, turn it into burger. A jerky shooter, a nice rack, preferably a pellet grill, some non-stick cooking spray. Let's put the ingredients up on the screen so you can pause it, write it down, and start making. I like using ground meat jerky because I can use any cut of meat. It doesn't matter. I don't have to be particular because grain does matter when you're using whole muscle jerky. And not to mention, if you don't have a jerky cutting board, slicing it to an exact thickness is a pain in the butt. So therefore, that's why I like making these jerky sticks using the shooter. I'm going to cube it up, and then I'm going to grind it up with my Turbo Force STX. Nothing fancy, but it gets the job done, and it wasn't expensive. Now we're going to add our spice mixture, of which you already paused and wrote down and are going to repeat here later on at home because you don't like spending money at the processor. The water's optional. I just find that it helps mix these dry spices into the meat. So essentially all you're going to do is just continuously turn it over until it's thoroughly mixed, and then you can let it sit for a couple minutes, you can let it sit for a couple hours. It's all preference. Usually let it sit for a little bit, and then what we're going to do is put it in the shooter and start putting it on racks. And this is pretty straightforward. You're just going to start filling that part of that tube. This is where having a little bit of moisture, extra moisture on that meat actually helps out, because it'll go in the tube that much nicer. Get it decently packed. You don't want it too much, right, because you're still going to get, with your plunger pulled all the way back. There we go. And cool. All right. Now you're going to spray your rack. And this is as hard as it's going to be. Small trigger spurts just to keep it all together as best you can. Keep that nozzle down at about 45 degrees and use short trigger strokes, and that way the meat will press together better and you'll get a more consistent product. Don't just try to do long trigger squeezes, because otherwise it'll just slide all over and not really hold together. And if you forgot to grease your racks, you better start all over again. So today I'm going to be using pecan pellets. Look at that beautiful smoke coming out. You can normally do this stuff in your stove if you don't have a pellet grill, but you're missing out. God, if YouTube had something to smell with, you'd be in heaven right now. Oh my God. So I'm gonna run my smoke at about 180 degrees. You can do 225, but all right, let's get this bad boy in here. If you're using a triple rack setup like me, make sure you took out that top rack here in your Traeger. It's gonna take about 3.5 hours, so we'll be back. Look at that lovely smoke back there. It smells so good. Oh my God. It's one of the secret ingredients, right? You can make jerky in a dehydrator or stove. Nah, you gotta do it with smoke all day long. Don't forget to rotate your racks every once in a while. So in the end, this is the product that we got. It's amazing. I love it. It has just a slight amount of softness to it, but not like a sponge gel, you know, one of those gel balls. If it feels too spongy, it still has too much moisture. You should have a slight level of pliability and break, right? You want it to break, which when you do that, it will break. But I guarantee you, I've been making this since 1994, and I've never had anyone tell me they don't like it. So do yourself a favor, take a few minutes, give it a shot. You got nothing to lose. Hey, if you like what you see, please consider liking this video and subscribing so you can see when I make future content. I appreciate you stopping by my channel. I hope you learned something new today and have jerky for the rest of your life that costs you nothing but what it takes to make it. See you around.